Hello and welcome back again. I don't know how many times we've said this now. Got me. Actually, I can't do that because I just did the Tim a minute ago and he nearly had a fit when I did the 6, 7. But anyway, it's got to be the 6th, 7th episode. Why have I started with that? But anyway, we're back. Today, I have a different guest today to come on. First reason I brought Tim on is Tim helps us with the editing on this podcast. So I thought we'd get him on so he could show his face. But luckily, I was going to say, I wonder if he collects Corinthians. Oh, let's have a look behind him. That is a mighty impressive collection you've got there.
It's all for you guys. I borrowed them.
Is it just one big bit of paper, the A4 bit of paper just stuck behind you? You copied it from somebody else?
If I lean back, the whole wall falls down. And
Mate, but that is impressive. Like one of our episodes we done, as you will know, was on displays, and that were those like purpose-built cabinets you've got behind you, or did you buy all the pieces separately?
So the grey bookcases are Argos.
Yeah.
But the what they call plastic stands are from Amazon.
Nice.
And they can certainly see us coming because they come in different tiers from 3 to 7, and 3, 5, 6 and 7 are all cheap, but the 4-tier ones are expensive because they're the ones they know will fit on a shelf. So
yeah, they know what they're doing, mate. But yeah, your collection is mighty impressive. So first thing we can delve into then, as we can see you collect Corinthians. How long have you been collecting them?
I have been collecting since 1996, I think, so almost near the beginning. But back then it was more of a just collecting some of the players I knew. So I was an Arsenal fan back then, and I just wanted the Arsenal figures. So that's when that started. And then, so I didn't really follow series or releases. When I got the catalogues through the post, I didn't really pay attention to the fact that I'm looking at a specific series. So it was always about, I hope they do this player in this kit in this team, and we'll come across some of them later on. So yeah, a long time. And then I stopped for a little bit. I thought I'd grow up, and then when I didn't have to be grown up anymore, they all came back out again.
It's just a same running common theme between all of us. That's exactly what I did. You kind of collected up. I collected up till I was about 20, 21, possibly a little bit older, and then just had a massive break for about 15 to 20 years, and then like hit lockdown, found them again, and got like not just back into it, like deep dived into it. And go on.
Yeah, when I went to Highbury back when I was Arsenal. This would have been Peter Reid's last game in charge of Sunderland. So right. During the Invincible season, I remember going into the Arsenal club shop, and they had I'm looking at it, as if you can see it, the Double Winners box set.
Yeah.
And I bought it, and years later I thought, need a bit of cash, we'll stick it on eBay. And I think it was going relatively cheap right near the end, and this is going to upset someone, because I suddenly thought, that's mine. That's a memory of Highbury, and I want that, so I cancelled the listing.
Oh,
so
mate.
Item off sale.
Yeah, mate, a lot of people have done it. I think the last episode we talked about mistakes, and that's one of the things I talked about, is I listed a load of my figures on there, sold a load of chasers for literally, I had a bundle of Brazil ones, one of them was Silvinho, one of them was Ronaldo, the chasers, sold the bundle for like 20 quid. And I did the same when I got to the Man U. I kind of just looked at them, didn't realise that Beckham was worth a lot, but I thought, do you know what, I can't let him go, so I pulled the listing down, and I had loads of people messaging me saying, oh mate, I'll give you 20, 30 quid for that, knowing that the Beckham chaser was in amongst it, that they were still going to get a bargain. But I just thought, do you know what, no, now that I've come to Man United, because that was my team growing up, no, I'm going to keep them. So yeah, I probably annoyed somebody else as well that day.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I try not to be too possessive about things, but yeah, there's just something about that box set that made me think, no, I want to keep that actually. And then if I'm going to keep that one, I might as well have the other 2,000 to go with it. So
of your collection behind you then, are most of them from when you collected at the beginning, you've picked them up, or did you, like a lot of people, sell a lot of their collection, and then you've now spent double the price getting them all back again?
So I sold very few. A lot of them just went up in the loft when I stopped playing with them, and then came back again after I decided that I might have a shelf or two of them. So a lot of them are new. There's a couple of original ones in there. There's the Barthez, Wes Brown, Scholes and Beckham. Do you remember where Beckham and Brown are in the white kits?
Yeah.
Barthez in the yellow, they're originals, but I think the rest of the Man United ones are, I say new, they've come courtesy of the resellers in the last 4 years.
Yeah, yeah. And there's been a lot of resellers the last 4 years picking up, innit? Because when did you get back into it? I got back into it 6 years ago. Was you around the same time, or was you?
I'd say so. I didn't join the group until probably 2021,
Right.
and that was more because I tried to do it on my own. You know, I'll find some checklists online. There'll be someone who's done it, and of course, Craig did it. So I was in contact with Craig long before I joined any Facebook groups.
Oh, cool.
But then it only really became a true obsession once I met like-minded people like you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because Tim is also an admin of the Corinthian Collectors Club. He came on board. How long do you reckon you've been doing it now? A year and a half?
I think he says this knowing exactly when it was.
The exact date and time.
October 2024.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, because we when we started it, I think it was me, Dan, Gary, Dave, and then it obviously expanded to the other lads. And we kind of we look around and we look for things that people can bring to help out. We got chatting to you and we saw some of the things that you were posting, and we just thought to ourselves, this is definitely a guy we would like on board. But we can come on to that in a minute when we talk about the next thing. But yeah, so collecting wise then, where are you with it? Have you completed? Is there pieces you're still kind of looking for?
I am currently looking for 4 Arsenal players, and then I've got one of every Arsenal player ever released.
Yeah.
My collection currently focuses on the home kits of every Premier League team.
Nice.
So I'm probably in need of about 60, and then I've got all of them. But that includes all the variations of Van Nistelrooy in the same kit, and Owen in all the different poses in the Liverpool kit.
Not the Pro 211, whatever it's called, is it?
That's the one.
The elusive one.
Oh my God.
But yeah, there's so many to get hold of when you start going deep into it. That's why I think a lot of us set out, haven't we, to try and collect them all, and then we've realised can't do it. I haven't got enough space. 2, it's just going to cost too much money.
Yeah, I was going through series by series, and I realised there were players that I'd never heard of before. So why am I paying 10 quid for a loose figure of a player I've never heard of? So let's focus purely on the ones that I mostly know.
Yeah, make good shout, and that's what a lot of us have done. Like I say, I've got just behind me shirts. That's all the Premiership headliners because I loved the Premiership back in the day, and then I've got my Man United ones on display, and then I've got a couple of internationals. But every time I ventured out somewhere else, it was just a minefield. So I've reined it right in now, but luckily I'm getting into again what we're going to talk about in a minute. So I won't go too much. But yeah, looking at you though. You're talking about Arsenal quite a lot, and how you love the Arsenal. That's not an Arsenal away shirt. So, what shirt is that, and why the Arsenal? Is it just because they didn't have any of that team?
No. So, the shirt first of all, Wolves. This is the 2006 to 2008 kit.
Yeah. And
the reason I'm wearing this is because I was given this for my 18th birthday.
Nice.
You can see how tatty and worn the number is.
The number is coming off, isn't it? I know a man that can fix it.
I wore it it was a game against Crystal Palace at Selhurst, and it was maybe a month before my 18th birthday. So I was given it, I'm allowed to wear it early. And I was tempted to see could I get served in the pub by people thinking that I was 18 because
Where's
of the
your
shit.
ID? There it is. There's my ID.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen, everyone. So yeah, and it's one of the only shirts that has consistently fitted me over the last, how old am I now? 18 years. I've had this for 18 years. Wow.
Yeah,
Depressing,
nice.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But mate,
Yeah.
it's a nice job. I always like the Wolves. I love the colour. I mean, I was listening to one of the other podcasts I listened to, the Wonderful World of Football shirts, and they were talking about it. Wolves is one of them teams where they haven't really ever stuck to a specific colour. Like I mean, people know that I repaint. I'm repainting a couple of figures at the minute of Wolves, and some are almost orange, like a real deep orange, dark orange, and then it goes to a real goldeny, almost yellow, and then what you've got on it looks like a normal orange.
Oh
So
yeah.
they're just constantly changing the shade and the tone. It seems.
You walk around Wolverhampton, and the number of people who say it's old gold. It's clearly orange or it's clearly yellow. It's not old gold. And the number of people growing up. Do you only support them because the shirt matches your hair? Oh, grow up. Arsenal.
Abuse.
To your other point, Arsenal. So my dad was an Arsenal fan. So
Yeah.
growing up, I only really knew of Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool. You know, the top, maybe top clubs in the 90s. And my uncle is a Wolves fan, and they slowly started to creep in. I always wondered, well, why are they not in the sticker album? Why are there no figures? And then I realised they were not very good back then.
Yeah.
As soon as the opportunity to go and see him live came up, I took it. I took the leap during the Arsenal's invincible season, so
Yeah.
I didn't leave when the ship was sinking.
Mate, it's they've always been a good club to watch, haven't they, Arsenal? And they've always played good football. And I mean, I loved it. I loved the rivalry against Man United back in the day. So it was always good to watch, sort of thing. Then they've had their little dip, but they look like they're getting somewhere now. But I suppose Wolves, on the other hand, what? How far did they go down? Did they go down to like League One at all, or have they only ever been like Championship, Premiership, Championship, Premiership?
If I remember rightly, before I was born, there was a time when they made the plunge from the higher leagues right down to the bottom,
Okay.
and they had a bit of a takeover and came back again. And the last time they sunk low was when they went to League One, probably around 2015. There will be, I say Wolves fans, there's only a couple of fans in the world. They'll be saying it was like maybe 2014. They got relegated twice in a row and then came back twice in a row. So
Yeah.
they've always been a very up and down team, and I think this
Yeah.
year is very much a down team.
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a little bit of fondness for him just because of Steve Ball, because when my era growing up, Italian 19, and then Steve Ball was on fire for a few seasons. And I just remember him getting his England call up and thinking, you know, this man deserves a chance. And he's never really got, because there was a lot of good players like your Linekers and that back then, but he never really got a proper decent run of games, let's say. But
He did get to wear a certain shirt though, didn't he?
he did get to wear a certain shirt, and that's what I was about to lead on to. So, my shirt that I've got, I'll go this side first. As you can tell, it's the Italian 91. Now, I've worn it before, you may think, oh, but I didn't wear it with an Umbro badge, did I? So this is an official one, and it was kindly given to me by Tim, which is insane. He said he found it in his loft. He has got no need for it. He knew I was collecting Italian 90. So I wouldn't like to think what these go for. So you might have missed out on a couple of quid. So I'll get you a solitary pint when I see you next to pay for it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, but that's, mate, it is a lovely top. I just love all the design that's actually in the shirt. I think it's either called jacquardine or flocking or whatever it is the fancy people call it. But it's just so nice. And whereas on this one, you've got the Umbro on the sleeve. Where's my old one? This one here is a score draw one, and it's got no Umbro on the sleeve at all.
Just similar, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's really nice, still really good. Like I was discussing with Tim just before we come on, that the score draw ones are perfect ones to get if you want a good quality top that's not trying to be a fake. Because a lot of these ones you get from China, I mean they're good. I don't mind the ones from China in the sense that I understand some people can't afford £80 for a shirt, so why don't you get it for 20 quid? If you just want to join in and you want to wear it on the terraces, you crack on. But it's when you buy it to then sell it on later on as an original, that's when people don't like them, and I completely agree with that. So Score Draw is not trying to be anything different because it's blatantly not got Umbra on it, so you know exactly what it is you're getting, but it's good quality.
I don't
Anyway,
like the other
I'm
one.
sponsored by Score Draw.
Sponsored by Score Draw. I don't like the some of the shirts from China purely because of the sizing.
Yes. Oh mate, it's ridiculous size, and I've got a couple of XLs, and I'm not an XL, and then like you try and buy a medium, and it was literally skin tight, so I had to say go out to an XL. But they're getting better. They are getting better, but it's just a shame that people are using them to try and rip other people off.
Yeah, well, that is the genuine article you've got
It's
there. So
the genuine article. I know, kiss the badge. Italian 90. Right, but there's another reason. We've got to know Tim's collection. There's another reason we got Tim on today, especially because a lot of you would know that I do a bit of repainting. I can't remember if I've talked about it a lot or not. Me and Gary might have talked about it. But when I got back into collecting 6 years ago, after about 6 months, I stumbled across a few repainters, and I saw some of their work, and I thought, do you know what, I'll have a crack at this. And I got into it. And then when I put a few pictures online and things like that, lots of people saw them, and I think you were saying to me that didn't you stumble across some?
oh yes, this is again long before I was in the group. There was a picture of 4, and I can't remember who the other 2 were, but it was Steve Ball and
Steve Ball, Keith Curl, Ince and Irwin.
Yeah, I don't remember those 2 being in the screenshot, so it might have been 2 random
other teams. Yeah, I did a load of players at the same time, but yeah.
But I just remember saving that and thinking, oh, I could try and copy that, and then I thought I'm never going to be able to do that, so I'll do this my way instead. Found the group and then found you, so it was almost like it was meant to be.
And literally, since me and Tim have been chatting together for ages, we just bounced so many ideas off each other, so we thought it'd be good today to do an episode on customisation, because we have both noticed that with obviously the collection finishing back, I think it was 2008, they didn't bring out any more Pro Stars, they carried on for like a year doing Micro Stars. A lot of people have been crying out for new figures. So, as I said a minute ago, the reason I started doing it was just so that I could do kits that players were never released in, and that was good. But then we started seeing there was demand for like remodelling players to then get new prints of players, to try and get new players. So we thought we'd do an episode to try and help people if they want to have a go at doing it themselves. So I'll let you start if you want, because I do enough waffling. So if people want to get into it, if people want to give it a go, let's list a few things they're going to need to know from the very beginning, and a few items they're going to need to get from the very beginning.
Oh, fantastic. Well, an obvious one is paint, isn't it? I mean, the kind of paints that you use, but the kind of background work that goes into finding the right paints and making sure not only they're going to be suitable, but that they will work alongside other brands of paints as well. So the amount of times that I bought gloss accidentally,
yes,
you need to make sure that all the paints are going to work. Decent brushes.
Yeah,
You definitely need decent brushes. The number of times that you think you got a really thin brush and then it turns out it's, well, like your paintbrush in the last, your house paintbrush.
some of them are terrible. I'll put some brushes here. So I have like a big one if I want to cover large areas, because it does large areas quicker.
Yeah.
Then you can get like a dry brushing one. There's a technique called dry brushing, so you're literally just removing all the paint off the brush almost, and then just going over a figure to give it a dry brush effect. And then what Tim's talking about, you can get some that are like, I don't know what's one this is a 0. So like a 0 basically, you wouldn't even be able to see it. It's a very, very, very fine tip, and it keeps its good shape, so it's really good for doing the details. But then if you try to paint the whole figure in that, it would take you all day. So yeah, brushes are definitely key, and get a wide variety of them. And don't worry about getting, I always think, don't worry about getting a few cheapies, because you're going to ruin a few. Don't go expensive straight away thinking it's going to be perfect. Get a few crap brushes and a couple of half decent ones, and mix. When you're doing like a large area, I use the rubbishy brush. When you're doing the detail, then you use your nice brush. That's what I do anyway.
And certain details you can use other inventive methods. So for doing pupils, Cocktail stick.
Good idea.
Just because then you don't have the issue with the end moving slightly and
Yeah.
making your perfect circles into a line. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because that's a very good idea because both dots would be, if you could put the same amount of paint on, would be exactly the same, won't they?
yeah, and it works for some of the finer details. Like I can see the shirt behind you, but the crisscross Umbro
Yeah.
design on the Man United '99 ones. Trying to
Yeah.
do that with a paintbrush is not very easy. So yeah,
But yes, you've got paintbrushes and paint. Like, I'll talk about a couple of paints I've got. As Tim was saying, you can get loads of paint. I know a few people that have gone to like Hobbycraft and just bought acrylic paint. Now the thing is, that's not really designed to adhere to like a model, a plastic model that well. It's meant, some of it's meant to go on a canvas. So don't, cheap is not always best. If you shop around, and like a couple of the good ones we use, like Citadel, because that's designed to go on, there you go, to go on miniature models. They specifically designed it for that. I use Vallejo as well, which is Spanish model one, there you go. Now there's another one, I prefer these bottles than them, just because these dry out a bit quicker in my opinion. But you can get another, there's another brand, I've not used it yet, but I think it's called Army Painter. So Army Painter must be quite a good brand because they sell them in a lot of the miniature shops. And then what other brands are there? I think Humbrol and that do them, but they do like an enamel range which is a different finish to an acrylic range.
yeah, you get a slightly more glossy finish. I found I use 3-gen acrylics. Is that what they're called? AK.
Right,
I use this one for like flesh tones because
nice.
you know how if you're trying to colour match some of the original Corinthians, they're all kind of jaundice, aren't they? All got this horrible tinge of yellow to them.
Yes.
So that is more of a natural skin tone.
Yeah.
Do I show some of those first, or would you like to see how the skin tone comes out?
Show us, well, yeah, show us a couple of your skin tones from that pack then, because if people want to use that pack, then they can see the kind of effect that's going to come out of them.
So we got a Kazaragi, and I showed him off on the group.
Yeah, and that looks like that looks like a Corinthian colour. Because what I use a colour called Kislev Flesh, and I find that more realistic. But the problem with Corinthians, as you just said, they haven't got a realistic skin tone. They have got some dodgy whites, some dodgy yellows, some dodgy beiges, and then they've got some dodgy browns as well. So if you're trying to have it in keeping, you need to find some different paints.
So this is an unfinished model of some handsome young man, and this is painted with the Kislev Flesh, and you can see him compared to Kazaragi. You can see it's a bit
darker.
lighter. Yeah, because they are meant to be caricatures. They're not meant to be real representations of the people. So they are meant to be a bit more colourful and.
Yeah, I mean that is something we can touch on again in a minute. But I think a lot of it is a lot of people like the original look, so they actually want the repaints in keeping. But then some people like them looking really lifelike. It's just whatever suits you, innit? But obviously we've got brushes, we've got brushes and then paint. So that's just for doing. Primer is really important. One thing you've got to do when you are going to paint a figure, if you just painted straight onto it, even the good paint will probably, if you little knocks, will scratch it off. So you've got to prime it. Now you've got 2 lots of primers. Tim's just shown one there, which is a rattle can. That's really good. You can get that in black, you can get it in white, you can get it in grey, and they all do a good job because I think there's got a few chemicals in there which make it adhere to the figure even better, and it doesn't let any colour come through. Like I've got a Burroughs here, and he's been primed in black, so he's just a solid black colour ready to go, and then Tim's just got one there which is done in the grey colour.
I'll show him off again later on when.
Yeah, but then like once you've primed them, they're ready to go. But again, some people don't like to paint the whole figure because they might not have the skill to get the skin tone right. So then something else you can do is you can get Vallejo, do a brush on one, which is what I use sometimes for mine, and then you can just literally coat the body. So then it's only the body then that is primed and ready to go. So you can keep the face looking exactly the same. So it's up to you which way you want to go about it. It gives you a bit more work doing the face, but then some of the eyes are so dodgy you might want to redo them anyway.
Getting the eyes right is, not fun. So I can remember one of our discussions was about the brush on primer. This must
Yes.
have been one of our first discussions, and I just couldn't get to grips with it. I couldn't get the leveling right, and I just thought, what would I do if I was painting a house? So I got some masking tape, and I just taped up the player's head, and it takes about 10 minutes to get under the neck and to do the arms and stuff like that. And then another discussion we had not long ago was using the Humbrol mask skull.
Yes.
You know, that purpley kind of stuff. So now I'm painting this on, and you just peel it up, paint it on, prime the whole thing, and then peel it off. And yeah, impressive
It works.
stuff.
Is that, oh, see, I've still not got around to using that yet because I've not been as busy lately. Is that really good stuff then, that masking stuff?
Yeah, and you can use it rather than wasting it to do the whole figure's head. You could mask up the head and then just paint the chin.
Nice.
And you just use like a cocktail stick and pick it off, and it just takes it off again. Doesn't damage the figure.
Tell you what we'll try and do is when Tim goes back to do a bit of editing, if we can get some little images of what this stuff looks like, just to give you all a clue of what it looks like. But the masking stuff, I've got a friend who uses it because he does Warhammer and stuff, and he says it is really good if you want to cover an area without having to, like Tim says, really go to town with the masking tape. It just brush it on, it sets, and then you can just paint over it and then peel that off at the end. So it's really, really good.
What
But
else?
yes. Oh, we've got, well, something else. So basically, you've got the painting. So like we've just said, you want to prime it, you want to paint it. Kit-wise, we always say, don't we, start with easy kits. Start with straightforward kits. Give yourself a go. Don't go straight in with David Seaman in the yellow 96 goalie kit. Give yourself something like a plain red kit, white shorts, and just have a go and have a bit of fun. But one really important thing which makes it pop, some artists are really good and they can paint on the sponsors and the numbers, which blows my mind that they can do that and get it looking the same. There's a couple of lads in China, I think, do it. But what me and Tim do, and what most people do, I'd say, is we print out decals. And how you do that, well, how I do that, and Tim might have a slightly different method, but we can discuss that, is basically you find the images online, mount it onto a Word or a document like a Word, whichever one you use at home. Print it out on special paper, and this paper will be called water slide decal paper. And the reason it's called that is that once you want to get the backing of it off, you dip it in water and the backing slides off. You can get inkjet or you can get laser jet. Now with the inkjet, you've got to not prime it. You've got to put
It's like an acrylic lacquer that you
Yes.
need to put over the top of it to keep it watertight.
Yes, because when you dip it in the water, if it's just an inkjet, the ink runs. So you've got to literally put a coating on the top of it to try and keep it waterproof, to make sure if any water does get on it, it doesn't run. It's not that hard, is it? I mean, that's what me and you have done for years.
Yeah, and I tried to avoid it wherever possible, because you can't print white ink unless you got a multi-thousand-pound printer. So I've just thought of, here they are. There goes the continuity for the video. Lee Dixon, Steve Bold, and this was one of my favourite Arsenal kits.
Yeah, nice.
And
I love the blue line. It really keeps it just like looking nice and in line.
yeah. And this was done before I knew about priming. So
Yeah.
the logos, sponsors, badge, whatever we're calling them, are the originals. And it's the original red. I just painted the white and the blue in around it. So I would only ever do things like that because I didn't trust myself with creating logos, because I thought, well, I'll spend a lot of money on this paper, and if it doesn't work, I'll just be sad. So
Yeah. But if you the paper itself, what do you reckon it is? It's about £4 a sheet on eBay. Then if you get multiple sheets, it's normally cheaper, isn't it?
yeah, I was going to say, I think someone's having you on there, because I paid 15 quid for 10 sheets.
Ooh, yeah, well, that's what I think. They always want you. One sheet would be a £4. Then if you get more sheets, it's cheaper. I think that's what most of them work out as. But you get your sheet, and you basically get the images. I use a photo editor. Everyone's probably got a different photo editor, but use a little photo editor if you want to edit your images that you're going to be mounting onto your Word document, and then mount them up. Measure the size you want them on your figure. They're normally about badges. I say about between 20 0.25 mil and 0.3 mil are normally big enough to be on, and the sponsor, just measure the width, you know, of this area you want it to go in, and just mount them onto the document like that. And then when you print them out, like this would have been an A4 bit of paper, and I've just trimmed the top off, and these are all my decals ready to go for when I get round to them figures. And then all you got to do, cut them out, cut them as close to the edges as you can, but like I always leave a little bit. Especially if you've got an inkjet. If you've got an inkjet, you don't want to be cutting up to the colour, because then you will be, when you're dipping it in water, having the opportunity for water to get in. Yeah. Whereas I've spent some money and bought a laser printer, so I haven't got to worry about that anymore. But yeah, just cut them out and then stick them on the figure. And how long do you leave them to dry? I normally leave them about 12 hours just to make sure they've adhered.
Yeah, something like that. It depends how many coats you do as well, because when you're doing it with the inkjet, you have to let the ink dry fully first, which can take strangely up to about an hour, depending on how much ink is used on the print. And then you could do a couple of coats of acrylic and leave an hour or so between them, but then I think it recommends about 12 hours, doesn't it? Something like that to fully dry.
I think a lot. Everything we're telling you about, you've got to remember trial and error. You're never going to get it right first time. The amount of, like, Tim's better than me at trial and error, and it was when I've been chatting to Tim, he's made me realise I was the sort of person that got frustrated. If I didn't get it right first time, I would be pulling my hair out. No one gets it right first time, so you just got to have a go. If you've made it, I mean, some people would get their figure perfect and ready, and then put the decal on and just F it up. And it would be like, no! So, like, get some practice in first before you put it onto that figure you really want to get done. Otherwise, you know, it's a bit of a ball ache peeling it off and starting again. But once they're on there, like, they really, having the correct font, having the correct badge and the correct sponsor just makes it pop, doesn't it? It makes it really look like a proper, good, old-fashioned Corinthian figure.
Yeah, well, I'm going to bring Kazaragi back out again. And they never made him in the Chelsea kit, did they? But they teased this figure.
Yeah.
And this, I tried to make the font more like the Corinthian font as well, rather than the real Premier League one.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of hides the seams quite well. I can post a high-res photo too.
Yeah. So when you did that one then, that was obviously, is it an old Kazaragi figure, or did you have to, because what we also do, me and Tim, is we chop heads off, put heads onto bodies, and we create whole new figures. Is that what you did with that one?
Almost. So, I came across a Kazaragi figure. I might even have bought it from you.
Right, okay.
On the group, and with the intention of painting him into that kit. And I had a load of figures with their heads masking taped up, ready to go. And I sent the photo to Dan Lilly. And he said, I hope you're not painting that Kazaragi. And he pointed out how much it was worth. I was like, not anymore, I'm not. Okay. So I then had to try and work out, well, what am I going to do instead? And that is when I discovered the medium of sculpting.
Yeah.
And casting heads. And it's been a bit of a game changer, isn't it?
Mate, it's taken you in a different direction, because I'd start with the repainting to get into it, but once you get into the repainting, my first avenue, I started going down a bit of resculpting. But one of the ones I'm working on now was a waddle, because they never did waddle with the Italian 90 mullet.
Nice.
So he has now got the Italian 90 mullet, so at some point I'll get round to doing that in the Italian 90 kit. So sculpting is the next thing. Like, you can basically, with sculpting, I haven't got any on me, you can use, is it epoxy putty they call it?
Milliput. Well, yeah, Milliput is the brand.
Yeah. So you've got Milliput, and they've got, I think they've got, what have you got there? The standard.
Yeah, so they come in various colours, but because you're going to prime it anyway, it doesn't really matter what colour you buy. Stuck to the box. There we go.
You basically chop an even amount of each, mix it together, roll it around for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then it is ready to go, because it stays in its soft form for probably a couple of hours, doesn't it? But I'd say the first half hour is when you want to be getting it on and getting it used. Yeah. And then it starts to cure, and then I normally leave it overnight, and then the next day it's rock hard then.
yeah, it becomes unworkable after about a half hour.
Yeah.
And your waddle example is I did a Mark Overmars, which isn't here. I'll stick a picture of that up as well. Um, I used it for remodeling Lee Bowyer's shirt. 'Cause
Yeah. Oh, right. Nice. Yes, you got the torn shirt when you had a fight.
that was the fight with Kieran Dyer. But also, we'll get onto 3D printing shortly.
Yeah.
But my original version of me was a Rio Ferdinand that I'd done a bit of playing around with, stuck some different ears on, and yeah, the beard is all milliput. So that
Mate,
was
you
sculpt.
talk about sticking different ears on. When I did, do you ever see my Jason Lee that I did for the fight in the forest?
Yes, I
So
think
I got a Gary Neville, what's it called, Tetley figure, and
yeah.
I had to add on new ears. I had to add on like all his hair and everything like that, just to make him look more like Jason Lee and paint him obviously different skin tone. But it's amazing what you can do. I think I did it to someone else as well. Who was what's the Newcastle player that had cancer then came back called again? Can you remember his name? It's escaped me for the minute. But it would have been around the 2000s. He had like a season. He had a Spider-Man mask on when he scored a goal once, and he was like celebrating with a Spider-Man mask. Whatever his name was, anyway, I had to create him, and the player that I used had hair going over his ears, so he basically had no ears when I shaved his head bald. Because
Right.
what I did was warmed his head up. Because one thing I'll talk about actually, well, if you want to remove heads or if you want to do a bit of sculpting, a good way to make it easier to remove old hair and things is to dip it in. I put it in very warm water, so boil the kettle, let it cool a tiny bit, put it in a cup, dip the figure in, and after about a minute, the plastic's a lot softer to shave off with a Stanley blade. So you do that, and then I took the ears off, and then I had to get, I think, some Nicky Butt ears, stick some Nicky Butt ears on him, and then restyle his hair. And is it Jonas? Was that his name? I don't know why that's coming into my head all of a sudden.
Not
But yeah,
Jinx.
no,
No.
I can't remember. It will come back. To, we'll find it. We'll edit it in and pretend we knew what we were talking about right from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Put your
But
hand in front of your face and
one thing I was going to say was I've got these tools, and these are like silicon. And when you're doing the sculpting with milliput, it really because when you try and use anything like say a cocktail stick or anything like that, it just sticks to the putty and rips it off. Silicon, if you just wet it a little bit, helps it slide, and you can really like put the lines in, put the marks in, and give it definition. So these good. They're cheap off eBay. You can probably get a cheap set of sculpting tools. I don't know, £5. And then once you get it's like I said earlier on, once you get the hang of them, then you can buy a really good set and look after them. Because a lot of the stuff with brushes is all about the aftercare. If you use an amazing brush, but you dip it right into the paint, it gets up into the ferrule, I think they call it, and then it gets hard. Then the brush just spreads, so it won't ever keep its point. So if you get a good one, always look after it. As soon as you finish a bout of painting, just give it a really good clean.
and don't store it bristles down.
No, that's why they've got most brushes do come with these plastic bits on. It's so clear you won't be able to see it slide off, but I've got that plastic bit there, and that helps protect it. And if you did want to lean it down, at least it's leaning on the plastic rather than the bristles.
Do you use milliput for anything else?
I use it. We were talking about then about removing heads. So sometimes you might have this Les Ferdinand figure. They did do him in another pose, I think, for the England, but a lot of people don't like that pose. So if you wanted to cut his head off and stick it on a different pose, to tidy the neckline up, you can put the milliput on to then hide the cut, smooth it in, and you wouldn't even notice then. I've created footballs with milliput because some of the Tetley figures didn't have a ball, so I wanted to do a Colin and Hendry once, and I just thought, well, I'll create a football and just like glued it to his foot so it looks like a proper Corinthian. What else have I used it for? Oh, I've done I've done the Kevin Keegan's. I've done like milliput around to generate his earphones when he was like doing the commentary.
Yes. Wasn't there like a famous rant or something?
Yes, when he had his rant about Ferguson, you know, so I that moment I thought I'd like recreate that moment. So he's there with his headphones on. So yeah, there's loads of stuff you can use it for. Is there anything else you use it for, the milliput?
I Something I always do with my custom ones, unless it's a straight repaint, is cover over the name.
Yes.
And again, it's absolutely choice of the person doing the work, but I just prefer the smoother finish
Yeah.
when it's a custom one, more so because then you don't have to worry about making the name look right. I know there's some people, they do stickers, don't they, or they try and carve it themselves, and I think they resemble more the master models when they don't have the name on the front. So yeah, that's something.
You've just reminded me of something else, though, which I know I've struggled with sometimes, and you might have struggled with. When you talk about the name, I also sometimes, like, I've got a Gazaria, and on the front, he's got his shirt comes down, and it dips in and out, and on the back, it's not very level. Sometimes it's quite hard to get your decal to adhere perfectly to it. So what I have done in the past, if you've got a player with a very deep line on the front, I've smoothed it over the front with putty to give them a smooth finish so that the decal sticks on quicker.
Wouldn't even have thought of that.
Yeah, well, I got told that by a guy called, I think it's called Rishi, the one. He's a really good artist called Garage Repaints.
Oh,
And
yes.
He told me that. He said if you're ever struggling with a specific figure, when you put the decal on, it just won't conform to it well because the shirt tucks in and comes out again. And if you push it in, all of a sudden you break the decal. He said, mate, just put some milliput on at the beginning. And he said that makes it flat. And when you put your decal on, it's on a flat surface. I was like, wow, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Did Rishi do the Ruben Neves?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah. Made out of Palace, wasn't it?
His work is insane because it's really realistic. He done he did a Robin, didn't he? And I think it was a Holland kit, which blew my mind. He used Luca on, is it Nillis?
Oh, Luke Nillis.
In Aston Villa, and he created the West Ham. Oh, what's the West Ham player called again?
Oh, Noble. Was it Noble?
Yes, yeah, and it looks spot on like him. And it was, to be honest, when I got into it, it was his work. I saw a bit of Alex's, I saw a little bit of Mark Bryan's, and I saw a little bit of Connie's. And their work was just like, whoa, I didn't realise you could do all this sort of stuff. And I just started picking pieces from everybody's and giving it a go.
Yeah. Mark is the repainter on YouTube, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. Mate, his work is, when I got into it, he was probably the best one there doing it, and I think he's done it for so many years. He's stepped back now, but check it out. Mark Bryan, he's called. His lines were just so straight. I could never get my lines as straight as his, but I always say that I'm just keeping them in line with Corinthians because theirs was terrible. Yeah. So that's why I'm going for that look.
I was speaking with Mark not long ago, and I wasn't sure if it was him who had the YouTube channel. So I said, "Oh, I think I said you're either the YouTuber or you're the guy with the YouTube channel," and he brushed it away. He didn't want that kind of association, but he inspired a lot of people.
Mate, he did. It's really, really good work if you ever look at it. But then the other stuff you can do. So we talked about adding putty on. You can recreate new figures. You can cover the bases. You can do all this other stuff. But what people are now starting to do is they're moving it on because they want new players, brand spanking new players, not even just lookalike ones. They want a player to actually be the current player. So there's a big market now for 3D printing, which is so clever and so advanced. It's just changed the game for the current players. But also, which if you can talk about both of these briefly, remolding almost. When you mould like the heads, you can do. I don't know what you actually call that when you're doing it. Is it just moulding?
When I can't take casts of
cast. That's it.
Yeah.
When you're
casting, yeah.
So Tim, talk a little bit about the cast, and then talk a little bit about the 3D printing.
Yeah, so the important thing about the casting is the main thing, it doesn't damage any high value figures, and it doesn't stop them from being in the community. So you might have seen on various groups people with repaints of Schwartz is a big one. He's a very, very rare figure, isn't he? Yeah. And the pictures of him and you're like, oh my god, someone's painted him, and no. We now recast. So I've got a Pele, and this is a recast of the head, and I put him onto a cheap body. I can't Shearer, I think this was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But it's the same pose, though, isn't it? It's the same pose as what the club gold one was.
exactly, yeah, and that is it's just a case of you dunk the head in this in whatever molding stuff you use. You can use silicone. I use a thing called composite mold, and you microwave it, pour it on, remove the air bubbles, and maybe an hour later you've got a mold that you can use. And then I put resin in, and what you end up with is a clear resin head, and they get it kind of like the milliput. It's a two-part mixture, so you put the two bits in, mix it all up. Extremely sticky stuff, but it dries, and you've got a rock solid Corinthian head that you can work with.
Yeah.
So this
Can
is
you can you drill into that or not if you wanted to? Would it split or?
you can drill into it. There's not much you can't do to it apart from with a. You might have known this yourself because I know you pin the figures, don't you, when you're sticking the new head on. So you can use pliers and push quite firmly into an original into a headliner, and it goes in. Whereas once this is dry, you really do need to rely on a drill.
Yeah.
But apart from a few air bubbles, which are easily removed, unless you catch them during the drying process, is a really good way of making copies of figures without taking the high value ones off the market.
Yeah, because that is. I've only ever done. I think I painted. Let me have a look at my Everton collection. Who would it have been? Might have been a Short or something like that. Was it Short or what was the other one? But I painted one of the rarer Everton players for somebody.
Would it have been?
Yeah, might have been that. But I just thought to myself, I don't know if I want to be doing this. But he bought it and he wanted me to do it, so I said, fair enough then, mate. If that's what you want. And it is nice that you can now have another option because you want people to have those figures because people are probably looking for them figures for their collections. It's quite nice that they're still out there rather than using the old ones.
Yeah, that was the moral that my morals that went into the decision to start making casts because, like Steve Bold, another one, I've got a version of him downstairs which is going to go into the casting stuff, and I hate the idea of someone not being able to have him in their collection.
Yeah.
Painted him. So that's why the casting is so important and so special.
Yeah, mate, and it comes out so well. It does the job, so it is perfect. And then what's the other 3D printing you've started dabbling in as well?
Yeah, so we got some 3D. So there's various types of 3D printing. So a lot of people look at that. What an absolutely handsome young Corinthian that is.
So I've just started it. I've only just started it a couple of weeks ago, but I'm really going to... I don't even know what kit to put... Oh, I now know. Italia 90. That is what he's going in. Well done, Tim.
You could do the shirt you're wearing now, yeah?
Yes, including my jogging bottoms.
Had I known then, I would have put him on a body with a collar. So...
Oh, yes, there's not a collar, is he? But I can... Oh, do you know what? Again, milli putt, I can add a collar. That's something else you can do.
So there's numerous types of 3D print, right? So there's the standard plastic which comes out of the nozzle and is kind of like a kind of thing, and that's the kind of thing that's like used for mass production of toys and like car boot sales. A lot of people make things like that. So we've got figures. The only problem is you get uneven edges and the chin on this one is a bit odd.
Yeah.
So something that I've moved into now, unless you do a lot of work on it to smooth things off, like I have on this one. This is Dan.
Dan Lilly, that looks good. Mate, that you can just tell straight away who that's meant to be. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So that took ages to get his head nice and round. So I've now gone on to resin 3D printing. The only problem is the heads are now really brittle.
Right. Okay.
So we got a this one is Bucky, another admin, and it's really brittle. So his ears will snap off. If I put any force on the neck, that will snap off. So now I've taken casts of that, and I've turned them into a solid resin head.
Nice. That's a good idea.
And that's where Jolien Lescott came from. So
That
this
looks
is
really good, that one.
that's a design that I made on the computer, printed in resin, casted in composite mold, and then turned into a resin head, just to have a Jolien Lescott figure.
So basically, that figure, if you wanted to sell it, it's about 70 quid because the amount of man hours that it's taking you to do it. But it's, do you know what? It's me and you did this to start with. I didn't do it to make any money or anything like that. I just did it because I enjoyed doing it. I wanted to put Man United figures in, and I know from chatting to you, you've just really enjoyed learning the new processes and how it's done. You know, I would say to people, don't think you could just walk in to it and just get it done within a week. It will take time. Just the painting, you know, it takes you time with the painting to learn how to paint well. Then to printing out your decals to make sure you're printing them out and not wasting paper. They're not too big, they're not too small. Then you've got to learn how to put them on. Then you've got to learn how to finish the figure. Then if you want to go on to 3D printing, I've chatted to Craig Jackson of CorinthianFigures.com, and his 3D prints are really, really good. But he told me, like he said, it took him ages. The amount of trial and error to get the figures coming out to a good quality that he liked took a long time. So if some people might think, oh, I can do this and make some money of it, you'll spend a lot at the beginning while you're getting it perfect. So don't think to yourself you can just jump in and do it, but give it a go. If something you're interested in, have a go. If you want to know any more tips, like me and Tim, we're in the Corinthian Collectors Club group, so we'd be more than happy to tell you what we know. We don't know everything, but we can, you know, try and point you in the right direction, and then get on board.
Yeah. How long have I been trying to paint Wolves figures, and you think you find the right type of paint and the right colour, and then suddenly the paint comes out all splotchy. And I found this out only a couple of weeks ago, that you need to water down whites, yellows, oranges, some of the more pale colours, because the pigment inside them is just so...
It's rubbish.
Yeah. So
it's horrendous. They are horrendous to paint white and yellow. I hate them light pink and things like that. It just doesn't go on. It just takes so many coats, and it just, when you're looking at a figure, like you say, it looks like you've got different shades of white on it.
Yeah, so you have to water them down. Whereas the Kazaragi figure that I keep popping up, that was one coat of blue, and it's smooth and perfect. Whereas Lescott, that's 4 coats of watered down orange paint. Just to get the same kind of consistency. Yeah.
So I mean, again, don't strive for perfection first time. It will take you a while to get around to it. But is there anything else? Is there any other customisations that's going on? I can't think there is really. We talked quickly about 3D printing, about casting, about repainting, about remodelling.
Yeah, no, I've picked up Mike Dean there. That's another one
Mike Dean, look at that one.
One of my designs that got printed off. Yeah, we covered quite a lot, haven't we? We've done the sculpting.
Yeah, mate, I think we've done it all really. So, you know, we've only touched the base with all of it just to explain to you what you can do. And a lot of it, what I found was going on YouTube. I started following artists like with eyes. I started following artists with eyes, and they were just teaching you to, like, one method was to paint like a dark pink underneath first before you put the white on. And then don't go right up to the corners, because then you've got a little pink in the corners, which you have got. When you actually look at your eyes, you've got pink in the corner. But that's if you want a realistic look. If you don't want a realistic look, then just go on with the white, and then just put a little black line over the top, almost like eyeliner, just because it gives it a bit more depth. If you have a close look at your Corinthian figures, you'll see that that's what they did. They've got a little line of black just along the top eyelid or above it, and then just put a blue in there if it's blue eyes with a little black dot. That is it. Simple. But they're tricky to do eyes. I know some people struggle with them, but just keep practicing. Just keep having a go. Keep practicing. And the good thing is, it's such a small area. If you mess it up, just paint it over white again. Start again.
Yeah, and don't strive to be like someone else either.
No.
The amount of times we've spoken, and we do our work is quite different, isn't it? Because you use different paper to me, different printer, sometimes different styles of paint, and you go for sometimes a more realistic approach, whereas I am very much matching Corinthian, so I don't paint anything that's got a custom body. So your Michael Jordan, for example, absolutely amazing. My Michael Jordan a lot more simple, but he's on an official NBA base.
Yeah, yeah, it's all fitting with the Corinthian range.
Match the line, yeah, and no one's work is perfect. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just enjoy doing the hobby and
Exactly, just enjoy doing it, give it a go, and if it really does expand your collection, doesn't it? Because I've got a whole stand over there. I think it's 5-tier stand over there full of them. And I still want to do more. I mean, I don't get much chance to do my own, but I will this year. 2026 is the year that I'm going to paint for myself as well.
And now this is out there, we're going to make sure everyone badges you to make sure you're painting your own figures rather than stuff for everyone else.
Starting with Andy Flack, and I can just put him next to me. But yeah, so that's literally customization. There's loads to it. We're here to help, but if you want to use any of these tips and give it a go, you can message us. You can just give it a go yourself. Send us some pictures of what you've done if you are just getting into it. It'd be interesting to see what everyone's getting into. But that's a little tip of the iceberg, but it's hopefully a helpful one. Keep an eye out as well, because some of the other stuff that Tim does, which we haven't really talked about tonight, which we can actually talk about another time, is the customization of packaging. Because we've tinkered with that in the past, haven't we?
Yes.
I mean, we've been talking about ideas. If we have another convention, what we can do. So it gives us enough opportunity to come back and talk about customization part 2. So there we go. We can do that another time.
Even the carrot is dangling.
The carrot is dangling.
I want to come back.
Yeah. But seriously, thanks for coming on, Tim, and thank you if everyone has stuck with us for an hour. And we'll see you again on the next episode. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.